I sometimes hear that when I listen to some music, it means that I have forgiven. No way. As I said, there's no forgiveness. And basically, I play the music for all sorts of reasons. In the past, obviously, it was the pleasure of listening to the music or finding some comfort. Um, it was uplifting. That was la historia in my life. When I felt down, I would play it loud and dance. And it always worked, usually with a beer and cigarettes. But then when I was dancing, I was not smoking. And then I would go to sleep. And music had different roles. Uh, it was a bit different when I was older, especially when I started living on my own, which was around the fourth grade, in the fourth year of my studies. Um, Before, it was an intimate space in a sense, a private space. My home was terrible. I mean, my home was not terrible. My childhood home was not terrible. My childhood home was happy. But then my mom married Piotr Urbanek, and we moved to his place, and everything changed. Um, so there, I did not have a home, but I had my room. And the first tape I got was Shaking Stevens. I got it from my dad, and I got the tape recorder, the tape player, also from my dad with the radio. Well, we were rich. um, and I had, later I started buying my own tapes, and I had the stickers of Aha on this uh, tape player. And then I remember that there came a tape um, player and recorder from the United States, from my stepfather. No, from his brother. So he was called my uncle, but he was not really my uncle, and it was for me. And it was smaller, and for some reason I started using this one. And my stepbrother, asked me if I was still using the other one, or if he could take it. And I said that he could take it, but I never thought that he would sell it. So, well, he did more or less the same thing with my skis. Or not the skis, just the. No, I did not learn to ski as others did. Only as a child I would ski, but later on not. And but my father bought the skis. I don't remember. I need to review my English too if I want to speak it. But actually, I'm finally, you know, I do it all the time. It's been going on for a while this way, but the conditions of life, the circumstances are really terrible. So it's like, okay, so today I start again. So this is really like giving up smoking. Every day you give up smoking, but you never give it give it up. So in the same way, I have made some decisions, but I need to make them again. And one of them is changing the language and not speaking English anymore. A period of silence before I am able to speak French or Russian. Well, I could speak German, but not too fluently. And I don't want to start speaking German at this level again because I have already been more advanced. So I need to get back um, and have the German at my level before I start speaking it. Anyway, what was I talking about? thread. Mm, ah, so at that time, my father bought me the ski, and you know what you have there between boots and the ski. So he sold it to. He asked me if I was planning to ski. So you know this is what some people call an enterprise. You know the skiing. Well, what can I say? I'm certainly not fit for such a world. Um, and this is the words that I have in mind right now. But before that, at that time, I would just listen to my music. I also listen to modern talking actually, but I withdrew with modern talking when I heard Thomas Anders pronounce it so clearly. Um, uh, how did it go? And I will hurt you more and more, or something like that. Well, perhaps we should appreciate this directness. So perhaps he's actually a bit better than the rest. But you know, when you have it said in such a direct way, then continuing listening to modern talking is not too wise. Well, actually, I have one song which is a total booster on my Zabawa non-stop, that is playing fun non-stop tape, that I listened to in 2001 after my father passed away. It got me out of the breakdown. I was in a terrible breakdown, and then I got the tape, and I started walking, and I will walk with my Walkman on, and the songs, and I was out of my breakdown within 2 weeks. Well, within a week. Within a week, I was actually ready to do something about it, and then I started doing my Scientology. So music has had all sorts of functions, or functions. Perhaps function is not the best word. All sorts of meanings in my life. Um, and of course, there's also beauty. There's also I also use music for the alpha ways, the Baroque music. But now I'm just wondering if it still works. If I play the Baroque music with all that is happening, all the movement, all the noise, all the trauma, whether it gets to my brain regardless and has the effect or not. Well, perhaps I should try it. But then there's also the music that somehow appeals to the soul. So the music of the Spanish music of discovery and travel has such an impact on me. It creates a totally different space. So it's perfect for my literary interests, or that kind of thing, because it takes one taking time in a way. And well, there's also music for I don't know, for patriotic purposes. I have today I made the final decision to part. I mean, I was not really in the group, and they were my enemies all the time. But I was trying to find the common ground, so to say, or at least the common purpose. But the false faith has won over, and today I have decided to stop supporting and to break all ties with the Polish, well, we must say, nationalistic movement. There was always the hope in me that the anti-Semites might get mature and stop being anti-Semites. So the perfect scene for me would be the people really having the high values, but not having this exclusive in the sense of we the Poles, pure blood, etc. And well, I believe that they are actually in trouble. I always speak about the new time of annexation, which is of a different kind nowadays, where the Poles are divided between um, China, Russia, and the United States. So these are zones. Um, but I forget to mention the fact that those faces, of course, have their connections, and I think they keep on forgetting that Hitler's plan was to um, exterminate Poles as well once his business is done. So probably there was a lesson to be learned from the situation between Arabs and other countries once the war was over, and um, the Arabs had played their role. Um, and I believe this is really the situation of the Polish um, right wing allied with the fascist movements worldwide. Obviously, the source is in Germany or Austria. Is it Habsburg? When I started discovering my royal um, identity, um, I was curious about this because spiritually you might have been what you have been, but then is it genetic? Um, and um, there were some traces leading to the Andrea, I don't know how to pronounce it, family, as well as to the Habsburg one. Um, so I remember that at one point I had this idea of taking the family, if it were the case, taking the family out of the faces disgrace, to put it euphemistically. But it does not seem they want to. So, or perhaps I don't know. Actually, I don't know, and I don't know if there are any connections anymore because it has become very uncertain. So fascism really is my problem. Faces started appearing in the blood that moves the body when I was working on it, when I was creating my lesson. I don't know what it means. What else did I want to say? Well, my life has changed. I'm on my way. It's so funny. I played, this tape, Zabawa non-stop, playing or fun non-stop, and there's YMCA there too. And I just got this put you back on your way or something like that, and I said, oh, perhaps. And I was already in the middle, I think, of coming back. So I'm back at the point where I decided to go to Saint Him. Well, perhaps it cannot be the point really, because there were many circumstances in it. But I was to go to Paris to complete my studies, to write my MA thesis, and go to Paris to get the proper rest. and reward and to sit in a cafe sipping coffee while reading a novel and thinking of my future. And probably it's quite probable that my primary purpose of becoming a writer, a poetess, poetess, I don't know if it's only Polish, but in Polish it sounds somewhat lower. But I'm not sure if it works the same way in English. Um, anyway, to write poetry, to create poetry, and other writings. And probably I should have also thought of my next movements. So, okay, it does not work with the Jagiellonian University. Well, what universities do we have in the world? So perhaps there is some university that would love to have Agnieszka Rojek and enjoy her lectures in literature or classes. But instead I went to St. Hill to do my volunteer minister course, and I got recruited for the Sea Org through suppression, and the purpose was to solve the problem of terrorism, which was the consequence of the shock of the 11th of September. So life has proved that this time has been more invested, and my assets have been more invested. The waste is unthinkable, and the consequence overwhelming. Um, there's very little of my life left, and this is also the context in which I'm making this recording, because I don't feel too well. There are all sorts of bad things happening around me, to other people, and to me of course as well, but I believe that, I think that, I'm not sure, I'm not sure what's coming next so soon. So I thought that perhaps I should focus and wind up a few other things as well. In other words, I have resumed learning French, and I won't go to Paris. I'm not sure if I'm able to travel if I'm still able to travel. But even if I am, I don't have any money anymore. So, and also I'm cut from all possibility to earn money. So my enemy is really special. Well, perhaps not from all, but I have not found any yet. Perhaps some breakthrough can take place one day or not. But so far it has seemed pretty much impossible. And so the condition of the body, life, etc., the overall feeling is very, very bad. I'm suffering terribly. But I can do something. I can still, and of course there are problems with memory being moved elsewhere. So it does not work as it used to. Still, I think I do enjoy reading my language books and doing something with language. I have my own methods for the Agnico-Italian the Agnico-Italian Academy and School. And perhaps it's high time to learn French, considering the fact that I was to learn it in the secondary school. But they moved me to a different class. Now there are problems. I was so happy about Norway, and I had such great plans of developing in that direction. And now I'm blocked because between me and Norway there's the head of the NATO, which is definitely a war in front of me. So I think I will read something on my own and learn some language of my own. But this is another area of life totally blocked. And this is how it works. This is really what's happening. So I believe something like that will happen in France too. However, well, we'll see how powerful this connection is. If it's powerful, it will somehow break through, and I will keep going. And at one point, it all will explode because the spirit is stronger than the body, and all that there can be. So this is what I'll be focusing on now, but also doing other things, of course. My plans, other plans, literary plans, other languages. Well, a lot, but there's a recording concerning that already. So this is the overall context, and in that context, I cannot promise anything because I don't feel too well, and I don't feel like working really, especially that it's Sunday. But I thought that I might try to wind up the aha in my life and really listen to the first three records or tapes or how I can get them, but basically the content, and see what's there and how I relate to that and how it relates to my life really. And I also had the hits record, which goes beyond the three records. It ends with the Lifelines that I picked up as the song full of meaning. Actually great. Sadly, they routed me to Russia because I answered to a Russian comment. I cannot stand the idiocy of the current world and the idiocy of those who have a power over the physicality around me. But this is what it is. And what can I say? I also have the record from the concert, but I don't think I will relate to it because I cannot listen to it anymore. I stopped listening to it the last concert in Oslo. I loved it, but I stopped listening to it when, well, you know, what was appearing on the screen behind did not look too inviting or encouraging or pleasing, but generally the concert was pretty cool. However, after the drumming, well, first there was this guy, not really on the scene, but I don't know, he's some kind of manager or producer, or I don't know who he is. And then finally, what stopped me from further listening was, you know, the drumming on my mom's heart. So I see, but if you hear me listening to Aha, it does not mean I have forgiven. Agnieszka Beata Magdalena Rojek, the 21st of March 2021, 22:07 p.m.